People deluded, I'm back again. I'm here with a special guest, someone I've wanted to have on this for a while. Luke, how are you doing, man? And thank you very much for coming through.
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. And you?
I'm good. Just obviously with this lockdown we've all been going through, it's just a bit boring, doing my head in at home, but I'm in good health. I can't complain, man.
Yeah, same. I mean, obviously it's not ideal for everyone, but we have to do our best to try and keep everyone safe as possible, and hopefully everyone will be all right soon.
Exactly. How's it affected you as a footballer? Because obviously you're at home. Like, has Bournemouth set you anything to do? Like, is there any training drills you have to do at home or any work you have to do specifically for yourself?
We've got specific stuff fitness-wise, so running, gym, etc. But football-wise, they haven't set anything specifically, but it's up to you to do something. And obviously, it's kind of the perfect time to work on yourself because obviously you've got so much time in your hands. So it's up to the players as to what they want to do and how they use their time.
Exactly. What have you been doing? Because you strike me as someone that's taken advantage of your time beyond doing what you've been set to do. What have you been doing from an individual basis?
Yeah, I've been working technically just on myself, whether that's like adding skills to my game and perfecting like my weaker foot, if that makes sense. Also, just dribbling, keeping active, and when the time comes to come back, making sure that I'm still on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I fully get you. You don't want to be
Yeah,
behind. You want to be able to hit the ground running. So how
yeah.
much of is it a kick in the teeth for you? Because obviously everybody enjoys football and suddenly it's just been plunged. You was obviously on loan at Pool Town. Forgive me for mispronunciation. You know, you're playing men's football. You're flying kind of high. Your team's trying to achieve whatever they're achieving. And then suddenly it's just... So how's it affected you in that position? And obviously being on loan at that level, it is quite cutthroat. So what's the segment or the sentiment around that?
Well, at the time, just before it ended, I thought I was doing all right at Pool Town, and we were starting to get a little roll going on of winning games and making our way up the table. Because obviously they want to achieve promotion to the higher league, and well, this hasn't really helped them out anyway. Because obviously they got to go another season, but I think that for me the whole thing, obviously it's not great for everyone because at this age, this is the age where you normally develop the most, I guess, and you work out like what you do, like what you're good at, and what you think you need to improve on going forward. But I think that in general, I think it's not ideal, really, is it?
No, it sucks, man. It sucks. You mentioned we've obviously been speaking about your loan spell. Like you've gone for an academy player. It's not uncommon to go on loan as quickly
Yeah.
as you have. But generally, people are quite shocked. Like, why has he done it now? What was the big reason behind going and playing men's football versus staying in academy game sort of thing?
For me, and I spoke with my manager. He thought that going on loan and playing men's football would be more of a benefit than playing my own age. And I think that's the case of other people as well, so that you get a different experience, a different taste of what goes on. Because obviously academy football is like normally like quite isolated, and it's just you doing your own thing and playing the teams in your league and going through the motions sort of thing. But when you're out there and alone, you get a different picture because obviously people like these are people's jobs, and like, if they don't do well, they're going to get sacked. But in academy football, if you have a bad game or two, like that's not a worry because you go again sort of thing. But out there, you have a bad game, like you'll be dropped and sort of thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Would you say it was a culture shock then? Because you said it's kind of academy's kind of isolated. I'm not going to say the results don't matter, but compared to
Yeah.
the men's game, the full game, you instantly see the impact. Was it a culture shock? What shocked you the most with that loan spell? What did you have to adjust to?
When I remember my first game, and I think they lost or something, and just the realization that everyone was getting like dug out. Like they didn't play bad or anything; they just lost, but everyone's getting dug out, and like obviously people lose their heads a little bit, and emotions start running a little bit wild because they're getting scared, sort of thing. Of obviously they want to do well. You know what I mean?
How tough is it physically?
For me, I um with the running wise, like Bournemouth are quite a fit club, so I didn't think it was quite bad as in like keeping up with the men. But when you're against them like body to body, then obviously some players are going to have an advantage because I'm a little bit younger than all of them. But I didn't find it was too much of a struggle, if I'm being honest.
Would you find it, to play devil's advocate, would you find it, I wouldn't say find it hard going back to academy football, but being in that sort of men's environment, you know, results mean anything. Would it, I won't say it's a step back, but would you find it tough having to go back to academy football? How would you feel about such?
I did actually. I played a game because the pitch that Poole Town play on, it's a little bit hit and miss. So one of their games got cancelled, and I ended up lucky enough there was a space on the bench for me for the 18s. So I got half an hour rest of the game, and I don't think it's a step back. I think it just gives you a different chance, another opportunity, regardless of like you can work on one thing with Poole Town, and then the next day you could be doing something at Bournemouth, and I think with the 18s football, it's different because obviously everyone's still hungry, and I don't think it's a step back at all.
Did you feel you learned a lot tactically, or what were the differences tactically versus the loan spell versus being obviously at your parent club?
Bournemouth obviously like to play out from the back and keep the ball, but when you're fighting for a win, if it's not safe, then the advice is to go long and get rid of it, sort of thing, no matter what. But obviously Bournemouth, they want players to be brave on the ball, and find a way out.
Did you find it tough going from playing sort of one way, like you said, play out from the back, being very pretty with the ball, to, you know, a bit more fighting for a win sort of thing? Did you find it tough initially, like to acclimatize to playing like that?
I'll be honest, when I found out I was going to learn, I was a little bit nervous because you see on like Instagram and all that, all these people getting absolutely like people getting challenges in their legs and that. And I'll be honest, I'm not the sort of person that likes a good tackle, to be honest. And I was a little bit nervous, but it's not, obviously there are strong challenges here and there, but I don't think it wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be.
So you had a lot of preconceptions and you was positively surprised.
Yeah. And people who were on loan in the previous years, they said, "Oh, it's not that bad. You just got to get used to it," sort of thing, and you'll find your way.
Mentally, how tough was it to adapt? Because obviously, I assume at Bournemouth, you know, it's a Premier League club. Everything's more or less done with you to go in there, where you probably have to clean your own kit, I assume, or things like that, and several other small bits and pieces like that. So, how much of it was a culture shock in that sense?
I didn't think it was that bad because with the 18s, we have jobs, so like washing dishes and putting the kit out for match days, etc. But at Poole Town, and I don't know if that's the same with every team in that league, but what they done is they actually did quite a lot for us, which I found different because I'm normally the one doing it for myself, which actually was a bit of a change up.
You wouldn't have thought that?
No, I didn't think that. I thought, oh, we'd be setting the kit out, or you got to bring your own kit every day, but they actually did quite a lot, to be fair. You
mentioned something I never knew. I never knew they gave the under 18s at Bournemouth jobs. What typically did you find yourself doing on a match day?
So it's like a rota. Well, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but it's a rota of every month you change your job, whether that's sweeping outside or sweeping the change rooms, doing washing up in the kitchen, setting the match day kit out, like stuff like that. Just so that you're not like, you're keeping your feet on the ground, sort of thing.
You remain humble. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there any cleaning players' boots? Because that would be my job. I'd be trying to do that with the first team players. I won't lie.
Nah, we don't do that. I mean, some of the coaches say they used to do that, like clean the players' boots and all that, but that's not what we get the chance to do.
Oh, that's sad, man, because you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Did you, speaking of it, of your loan spell, obviously, like we just said, you played for Bournemouth. It's a Premier League team. There's a certain sort of way of playing. You're coming from, your teammates having that preconception of that's who you are. Did you find it initially tough to kind of win them over mentally? Did you kind of have some preconceptions thinking they're going to just think of me as some pretty boy from Bournemouth who thinks he's better than he actually is, sort of thing?
No, I didn't. I went in there as in like, it's a fresh start for me, sort of thing. Like, I didn't know anyone. And to be fair to Poole Town, everyone there, they're all great, to be fair, and I got on well with all of them. They're all nice lads, and I just thought, regardless of where I come from, I just wanted to be the best for them, if that makes sense. So do the best I can to help them.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, I know you're a humble lad, and I'm sure, like, clearly your humbleness has won them over. They see that you're just you just want to work hard and whatnot, and I can't, I can't fault you for that. Was this your first loan spell?
Yeah, my first loan spell.
Okay, has anyone else in the setup gone out on loan? Is it a common thing, or was this just in your case?
Some of the boys have, but obviously this coronavirus,
Yeah.
it's cut them short, to be honest.
Speaking of that, like you see, you've made good progress this season. You've played first team football. You've done your thing for the academy, and then the season's been cut short. How would you describe your season as I guess as a collective, both what you've played in the teams you have and as a person?
Personally, I think I've been quite consistent this season in regards of off the pitch and on the pitch. And I think personally, if I was to look back, I think I've had a successful season as I've hit the goals that I wanted to hit, regards of assists and goals scored.
You got to let us in a bit more of them targets. What targets did you set for yourself at the start of the season?
This was so I set. I wanted to hit 15 goals, 15 assists by December, and then if I hit that, the same again by the end of the season.
And
And
you
that
managed
was,
to do
yeah, I managed to do the December, but obviously
it.
it's
Yes.
been cut a little short again. Yeah, unfortunately.
Sadly. What was your favourite goal of the season you've scored? And take us through it.
It was a game that I got my first hat trick in for Bournemouth. It was in a cup game against Bristol Rovers, and I picked the ball up about the halfway line and just went past about four players and slid it in.
And no one kicked you down.
No, luckily not. I mean, I
um,
got my foot
Go on.
stood on a few times, but just want to.
Do you ever find that in games? Because you sound, I mean, the tasks you set yourself in hitting it, you must have been a marked man. Like, people must have been doubling up against you, trying to kick lumps out of you, trying to physically intimidate you time after time. Must have been that must have been the case playing in your position.
I don't think, not that I've recognised. I don't think I've been like picked up on that I know of, but I don't know what teams do analysis on. I know we do. We're quite big on that, but I'm not sure. I never felt it personally. Whether they did or not, I don't know.
Okay. You see, at your loan spell club, how was it? Because you mentioned something in that you didn't think that they would provide kit or whatever they did more so than Bournemouth. To me, as someone that's obviously not there, or just as a fan of football, when you say a club like Poole Town, like I said, I think it's, you've got to bring your own stuff, and you probably do to a degree. But how similar is it to a Premier League club in some regards? Like, can you take us through what they do to look after? You mentioned analysis. I didn't think they would do analysis beyond what the coach would tell you. To be fair with you,
At Poole Town, sorry.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so no disrespect to Poole Town at all, but I didn't think they'd have as much as they did. Like, so when we went in, or when I went in, they got like drinks there. They got bananas, like energy drinks, sweets, stuff like that. And I wouldn't have thought they had any of that. And I'd have thought, oh, they probably give us a kit. We'd have to go and wash it, sort of thing, which is fine. But I don't know what they do regards with training or analysis or anything, because I wasn't involved in that. But for me personally, I tried to watch games on YouTube before I played the team to see what the left winger or the left back was like, just to get a little idea of who I was going to be against.
And at Bournemouth, how different is it at Bournemouth in terms of your analysis? You mentioned before games, you mentioned nutrition. How different was it at Bournemouth?
So analysis at Bournemouth, we normally do it a day before a game, no matter what game, whether it's a friendly or a league game, and we just pick in things about the team and what they do. I don't want to get too much detail.
No, of course not. You don't
Yeah.
want to give away them secrets, but
No.
it's nice to just hear them sort of insights.
Yeah.
How long was you actually at Bournemouth? How long have you been, at Bournemouth in terms of, just the minute you walked in the doors?
I signed at under 13s, I think. Around that, the start of under 13s or the end of under 12s, I think I signed. So this is my 6th year at
Okay.
Bournemouth.
Where was you prior to that? Because you're the first academy player. That sounds kind of late, being under 13s, like you said. Where was you before?
Yeah.
Was you anywhere?
That Bournemouth was my first academy. I had something at Saints like years before, but that never really worked out for me. And I don't know if you know, but like when you play Sunday League, you do a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, you play a lot of tournaments, of course.
Yeah, Bournemouth were interested in me for a few years in a row, but they never came back. But luckily, one time they did, and it worked out for me.
What was the trial like? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was at a place that we still train at now sometimes at an Astro, and it was just loads of games. And I just thought, oh, if I do the best I can, work as hard as I can, and hopefully,
Look at me.
yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. How was it? How can you describe your feelings going through the academy? Because as you get older, it gets more ruthless, as you know, especially when you reach under 16s. As you know, scholarships get taken out, and you seeing your friends be released. Some people that might have even been there before you. You know, your parents taking you
Yeah.
three, 4 times a week, and ultimately it can be for nothing. What does it feel like being in that environment? Because there's a constant trial list and things like that. Being a Premier League club, they're always trying to have the best talent. What does it feel like?
I never thought about like well, obviously you do think about contracts, but I try to keep my mind on football and do the best I can. And I just enjoyed my football because I think that's the only thing you can do. And if you're enjoying it, you're going to want to improve and do better. And I think that it happened to work out for me, sort of thing, with my hard work and get myself through it.
What was it like progressing from obviously being a schoolboy and playing games to being a full-time scholar? Because obviously we know you go to training every day, but how much is for those that are not in that environment? How much of a change is it? Is there much of a big change physically?
Or from doing the scholarship.
Yeah, to going to becoming a full-time scholar.
Obviously it was quite like a dream come true sort of thing because you're playing football every day, and I just wanted to make the most out of it. And it, like when you wake up in the morning, you're buzzing just to go down training. But obviously you got to do education as well, some days. But that's no issue because 90% of the time you're playing football and you're with all the lads as well, and you're saying at digs, and it's a really good time, to be honest.
It is. Would you say on the field, did you not struggle, but did you find it a bit of a culture shock in terms of performance levels? Because you're playing a few times a week, you're training every day. Obviously, there's rest periods, but it's not. Yeah, with the exception of college, you're more or less like I'm a full-time footballer, and physically, this is what's come with it.
For me, when I first started, I was injured for the first like 4 months, maybe, I think, with my knee. So I was basically running every day pretty much and getting my fitness. So that sort of helped me in a way to keep up with everyone. But obviously football wise, I was a little bit behind because everyone had like 4 months on me or whatever. But I think physically, throughout the whole 2 years, I've been at the like one of the best fitness wise, I think.
That's good. In terms of your injury, what happened to your knee?
I don't know the actual like the cause of it, but I had like ripped meniscus in my knee or a little bit of cartilage, and had to have keyhole surgery to get that cut out.
So what does that basically mean for in layman's terms for us that are not doctors?
So a little bit. So you have something in your knee. I do know I don't even put this, but you're something in your knee and it had to get cut out. It was like a little bit, and you had to get cut out, and because it was when the knee was rotating, it was like causing swelling or something like that. But yeah.
How painful was that?
It was fine to run and to walk on, but when you kick the ball and when you kick the ball and your knee like jars,
Yeah.
like that was when it would hurt. Other than that, it was completely fine, to be honest.
Was it one of them injuries where you don't actually know you're injured and it's like you just find it out sort of thing?
Yeah, because I think I'd done it when I was under 16, and I remember like playing a few games and my knee was swelling after the games, and I was thinking, what's going on? And then the next season was the scholar year, and that's when I got like scans on my knee, and they found out what's wrong. But a few of the surgeons said that a lot of people can have it, but you just won't know about it. But unfortunately, I was one of those people that like knew about it, sort of thing.
Did it coming back from that? Was there any sort of mental problems you went through? Because I know in Sunday League, when I hurt my ankle, when I went onto the field, I was physically recovered, but mentally, I'm kind of thinking, oh, if I get in a tackle, this is gonna happen. Did you have any of that?
I don't think I had any of that. Not that I remember. I just thought, oh, I'm so happy to be back, sort of thing. I don't remember thinking, oh, I'm scared to go in that challenge. What about my knee? Because I think it's because my injury was a little bit different to like, say, like an ankle break or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. So you was just more of the thing like, I've been out for so long, you can't
Yeah,
get any worse than this. I'm back
yeah.
playing again. The way you speak and come across, you sound like a leader in terms of if you're not necessarily wearing the armband, you want to score, assist, or dominate a game or help your team in some sort of way. What would you say is your biggest strength and weakness from a footballing perspective?
Do you mean like attributes?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think my biggest strength would be like dribbling and taking a player on, sort of thing. And probably my weakest would be pretty defending, but I think that would come as obvious because I'm an attacker.
Yeah. What do you, who have you growing up? Did you model your game on anyone? Because when I watch you, it's like, I remember the first time I watched you, it's like a bunny rabbit on the flanks. It's like you didn't want to give your fullback any second of a breather. And I was thinking, he reminds me a tiny bit loosely of Bale or something like that. Like he's good in tight spaces, but if you let him go down the flanks to see you later, you might as well forget it.
I used to watch Ronaldo, as in Cristiano Ronaldo, as a kid. That's who I always like imagine myself to be like, and try and aspire to be. But I remember watching Bale against Inter Milan that time where he burnt the whole team a few
Killed
times.
them.
Just yeah. But yeah, Ronaldo when he was at United, especially, I was a fanboy. I can't lie.
What team did you support
Oh, I
growing up?
support Southampton.
Oh, okay, Southampton lad playing for
Yeah.
Bournemouth sounds about right, but it's probably not the first time you've heard that.
Yeah.
You play anywhere else in terms of positioning?
I sometimes play up front, but if I was to pick, it would be wide.
What's the difference? I mean, why do you prefer that, and why is that the difference?
Um, I prefer getting the ball and facing someone up when pretty much every time, but when obviously you're a striker, sometimes you got to hold the ball up, set people off, like have your back have your back against the goal sort of thing. And I don't think that's one of my strengths, to be honest.
That makes sense. Obviously, forgive me if I'm wrong. You're a second year scholar, right?
Yeah.
So have you signed a professional contract?
No.
So that's the next aim, essentially.
Yeah.
How
Whether
confident
that's,
are you?
I have no idea.
Be
I don't
confident. I
know.
don't think you had a great season, to be fair with you, but I mean, it's different when you're the person.
Obviously, you'd like to think you'd get one, but if it doesn't work out at Bournemouth, then obviously I'd hope to go somewhere else.
Have you ever considered not in line to this, but growing up through the academy, have you ever been close to being released by Bournemouth and like having interest from other clubs and things like that?
I've never had anyone interested in me that I know of, but I remember when I think I was on trial, maybe I think I had like a few weeks left of my trial, and the manager said that I wasn't working hard enough, and that was probably the closest I've been to get and release, I think.
That makes sense, man. And I mean, it's always nice to hear the question. I mean, hear you lot answer this sort of question because football is very, very cutthroat. It's very
Yeah.
cutthroat. What would be your if you could if there's someone in your shoes that's trying to be a professional footballer in the Premier League and things, what would be, or let's say they're 5 years younger than you, what would be your best piece of advice you'd give them?
The best piece of advice, I'd probably say work hard. I know that's quite a generic thing to say, but hard work. And it doesn't matter whether that's running around trying to get the ball or working on yourself consistently, on and off the pitch, whether that's in your own time or at training. And I think hard work will carry. I know like Ronaldo and Messi are all like talented players, but they haven't just got there through talent. They've grinded for that sort of thing, and they've critiqued themselves to become the best players in the world.
Exactly that. And I think that's the best piece of advice you could give. Have you ever got to train with the first team or be around the first team at all?
I trained with them once, but I don't really know if it counts because half of them were on international break and there wasn't really many players there, to be honest.
So you're essentially filling up the numbers.
Yeah.
No, I mean, don't come on, man. That's how you get. Everyone's got to start. That's how you get your first chances and whatnot. He was the toughest player to play against in training. That was there out of all the options that were available, I guess.
Adam Smith. There was literally like 2 or 3 players there.
Oh wow! Was that?
Yeah,
How often do you get to watch the first team in terms of training and whatnot?
The first team training probably never, but matches we're lucky enough to get tickets so we can watch them when they're at home.
In terms of the management, has Eddie Howe said any? Like, have you not spoke to Eddie Howe? Has he spoken to you? Is his face a well-known face in and around you guys?
Yeah, he's got like quotes all around the academy But for the Youth Cup games, he came in and said some nice words.
How disappointing was the FA Youth Cup for you guys? Speaking of that,
Obviously we felt we could have beat Millwall, but I think that we got ourselves in a little bit of a tough one with the 2-0 deficit. And then obviously we broke back to 2-2, and I think we were getting a little bit too eager and we were pushing a little bit too much, and that caused the third goal. But credit to Millwall for obviously winning that game.
Yeah. How has your season gone from a club perspective at league level prior to going on loan for Paul? Like, where were you guys in Bournemouth in terms of Bournemouth in the league table?
Yeah, we won our league. I'd say quite comfortably. I think we dominated most teams, to be honest.
What teams are in your league?
Do you want me to name all of them, or?
No, just some prominent ones, man.
So we got like Oxford, Exeter, Portsmouth, Yeovil. That's just off the top of my head.
Are you the only Premier League side within it?
Yeah, because obviously Cat 3.
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought so. So it's like beyond that. Do you ever play friendlies against other other Premier League academies and whatnot off during the season off the rip?
Yeah, pre-season's normally where we try and get every like Cat 1 team we can, but we normally throughout the season we normally play teams like Chelsea is quite a common one we play, or West Ham or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And obviously it's hard to have goals for next season when you don't really know the scope of it and things. But I'd finally like to ask you, obviously you've set your goals for this year. You've accomplished them, give or take what you could have accomplished. What would be your goals for next year?
Well, regardless of where I go, I just want to become like a consistent starter sort of thing. Regardless of what club I'm at, I'd want to start games consistently and do well sort of thing. And then I can set up goals from there.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, man. I mean, Luke, you've been a pleasure to have. You've answered the questions very thorough and things like that. I think we've gained a wealth of knowledge, man. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you again
for doing
this with me. Take care, man.
Thank you.
Peace.